Hey, this is JC and welcome to Small Brick City, where we want to help you build a Lego city regardless of the space you have. In a previous video, I showed how to create Lego seaside terrain, and I created this MOC, and we started with an empty base plate just like this, and we built it up to this. As you can see, it's pretty textured, and if you want to check out the video, do follow the link in the card above or in the description below. In this video, we're going to do something similar. We're going to explore a transition of terrain in a Lego setting, but in this case, we are going to transit between water and a beach. So not so much a seaside where there's rocks and a grassland. So the techniques used will be similar, but we'll be applying them differently. So let's get started. As before, we're going to start off with a blank blue base plate, blue to represent the water. Now we're going to start building the beach first, and for that I'm going to use light tan plates. Unlike the previous video where I built it up by 2 levels, meaning elevated the grasslands by 2 bricks high, I'm going to do a bit of an elevation, but because this is a beach, I don't think we need to go so high. But this really depends on the size of your beach. I'm working with a small base plate for the purposes of demonstration, but if you really have a very long beach that you want to build, you might want to elevate the back of the beach higher and then gradually go down. But in this case, I'm working with 32 studs deep and 16 studs across. So my water is going to be this side and the beach is going to be here. So you have to think of it as a cross section of the beach. So I'll start off with this plate here, and that's a 8 by 16 plate, and I'll just press that in, and I'm going to use some smaller plates over here to add to the beach. Anytime you want to create natural terrain, whether it's a beach, whether it's grass, mud or sand or rocks, you do not want to work with straight lines like that, because then that looks really artificial. So we need to create some kind of a jagged look. So I'm going to use these plates over here, and I'm going to line them up somewhat like that. And the idea is to give a gradual, I guess, indent, or just a curvature, although of course we're working with straight parts. But the idea is to create this kind of a look where the beach seems to be coming in. And I think we can stop maybe just about here. Why don't we stop here for now? So this gives it a bit more of a natural look. It looks like part of the beach, but as you can see, it does look a bit too sharp. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use 1 by 2 plates here to break up the symmetry. So as you can see, I'm trying just to make it a bit more jagged. Maybe this goes here, and this one can go here. So the idea is just to break this up. So maybe I could do one more here. I think this is fine. So once again, you're supposed to see this as a cross section of the beach. Now I'm going to create a bit more elevation on the back, and let's do something like this then. I'll add 1 more plate here, and then I'm going to add more plate again just to go with that look. And I'll use more plates here to create this jagged feel. So what I've done here is to add more plates and random plates. So I've got 1 by 2s, some 1 by 4s, a couple of 2 by 4s, and basically I'm just trying to create a gradual surface. So if you have a deeper beach, you want to do several layers of this. So eventually at the furthest part of your beach, you might have something that might be a brick high or even higher. But the idea is to give this kind of a gradual slope or gradient upwards from the water to the back of the beach. And just like the tides to come in, and when they go back, they create this natural gradient just like any real beach. So we've got the landscape of the sand down, but now we need to create the water texture. What I like to do is to take a couple of plates, and I'm going to use these dark tan plates first, because what I want to do is to create a wet look for the beach, as though the water is hitting the beach and is making the front or the head of the beach a bit damp. So by placing these dark tan plates here, I'm going to create that effect. So by adding an outline of this dark tan plates, we create the illusion that this looks like damp sand. So now we're going to repeat a technique that we used in the previous video for the seaside house or the terrain against the rocks, and that is to use white plates to give the illusion that water is hitting the beach. And there we have that nice gradual effect. And I'm going to use these medium blue plates to create another layer of the water as though they're hitting the beach. And there we have this medium blue outline. I'm going to do one step further, or go one step further, and I'm going to use a lighter blue to create one more layer of outline. And there we have even one more layer. It really looks gradual. And I'm going to use a couple of these transparent plates, and I'm going to add them to the front just to give it even more water effect. So what I'm going to do now is to use these cheese wedge pieces, but in transparent plastic, and I'm just going to add them randomly, and they're going to look like waves. You really just need to add in a few to create the right illusion. And here we have the illusion of almost a printed plate. If you look at it from the top, from a distance, but if you look at it from an angle, you can see it's quite gradual and it goes up towards the beach. And this is how I decorate a beach plate. And of course, if you have a larger beach with much more plates, you will need quite a few parts to create the right effect. What I'm going to do now is to transfer this mini house over from this grassland to this beachhead here. And incidentally, if this is the first time coming to Small Brick City and this video channel, if you want free building instructions for this original Lego house design, do head over to smallbrickcity.com and you can download the free plans. So let's do the transplant now. And what I've done over here is to transplant the house. And that's why when I build modular houses or any kind of small builds, I do like to put a layer of 1 by something plates. So besides just adding a footprint for me to lay out the design for the building, it also holds all the bricks above it and everything else subsequently. So when I do want to do a transplant like I just did, I can just use a brick separator, pry it up, and it basically came up together, making it really convenient. I also added in some more plates over here, and that's just to make sure that the bottom of the stairs here was aligned with the plate. So now that this is up, we can put the house back, and we have the basis of a beachside house. But of course, to really make this pop and to make it seem like a beach, we need to do some detailing. What I want to do here is to add a bit of texturing to make it more rich in detail and also to give it some beach life. But let's think about adding some texture to the back. And I'm thinking of adding some greenery, because often when you do have a beach, and of course I'm condensing it for the scale, you would have the water, the beach, and then generally you would have some grassy area. So let's create some grassy area, and I'm just going to use some plates to do that. And I can create it this way, and I'm going to create a design which is off in terms of the pattern, so it'll probably look something like that, and then I'll use the plates to go behind. And actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to add more plate. So you can see I've done a random pattern again, as though it's just grass growing, and that looks a bit more natural. And I'm going to use some of these 1 by 1 plates just to add texture, and the whole idea is to break up the smooth surface of the grass. And I'm also going to use some of these dark green plates because it looks like different colored grass. It's just to use it to break up again the monotony of the pattern and just makes it look a bit more realistic if I can add different textures or different colors just like that. So not too much, but just to add enough so that we get the idea of it being highly textured. And we can go one step further and we can use some of the plant parts such as these, and we can place them on the studs as well, and this gives a very nice grass effect, very realistic. I could even do that to create different levels. That's the whole idea. Anytime you want to do grass effects, you want to create randomness so that it looks realistic. So that's enough just to give it the detail. I left a space here deliberately because I do have a tree. In this case, it's a palm tree of sorts. So I can put this together here. Maybe we can even go high. Since the house is not short, we can do something like that and put the tree right here in this corner. Maybe I'll put it right here and turn it just a bit, and then that will allow me to add a bit more greenery over here. Maybe I'll just put a few more flower parts or plant parts just to break up again the look, and that looks pretty nice. So now we have a palm tree, a bit of greenery down towards the beach. So let's put some deck chairs, and I've got 2 of them here, but let's see, we have space for 2. Maybe we want a space for 2, so let's just have 1 for the pretty lady, and maybe we will put it, why don't we just put it here. Now if you had studs, you could just put it decanted like that, and why don't we do that? So what I need to do is to get jumper plates. I have 2 jumper plates here, and the good thing about this, when you can offset any kind of design or furniture, it's always good because then it doesn't look so straight and perfect. But often getting that offset is quite tricky. So let's see if I can do it by finding the right angles. And here we have, that's the deck chair, and we can now add this over here, a little umbrella for her. And maybe we can get another guy and he will be in the water trying to battle the waves. Now notice the beach is very clean in terms of just the smoothness. So you can do several things. You can add plates, or you could also add cheese wedge pieces like that. Again, the whole idea is just to break it up. Looks like a bit of sand dunes, just small piles of sand, and it's to break up that very symmetrical flat look and just makes it a bit more realistic. So I've added in the cheese wedges all over the place. Now I opened the door just to make sure that nothing blocks the door, and I guess we could finish it off just by putting a few of these grass parts, and it just looks like grass maybe growing out randomly, but not too many, but that's enough again just to break up the shape, and I think we're done. And here we have the beach terrain MOC done. I think this has turned out really nicely. We can see the transition from the water to the sand to the green area over here. And you can imagine behind there's more greenery, and it can even lead to a dirt road or maybe even a proper road for cars. And all these details make this MOC very rich and also highly realistic. I like to use the words variety and density when you create a Lego city. And often I talk about a city to have variety and density, but the same can be applied to a natural landscape, especially like a beach, because you have variety in the different parts of the beach and you have the density to make it really packed and interesting. With Lego, you always have to scale down because it is an artificial minifig scale, and you do have a limited space where you're building regardless of how big your space is. So there is an artificial scaling, so I do like to pack as much detail as I can within a build, and you can see even with this half base plate 16 by 32, we get a lot of detail in, and it looks like a really rich and interesting MOC. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video and you picked up some tips and techniques on how you can create your own Lego beach. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't, please subscribe to the channel and turn on that notification bell. Thanks for watching, and check out these 2 videos before you go.